Before starting to learn about finding vulnerabilities and exploiting them, let's see some terminologies and standards used in web application platforms. To be able to understand if there is a vulnerability on an input field, you should send thousands of different payloads. For example, you have to try hundreds of payloads to be sure that there is not an SQL injection vulnerability in a field. There might be tens or hundreds of input fields in a web application. If you want to test the application manually, you may spend months. To make it faster, you should use automated tools. There are a lot of automated tools you can choose. Some of them are commercial, such as AppScan, Fortify, Acunetix, NetSparker. In addition, there are some free tools such as W3AF and Z Attack Proxy. And as a side note, some of the commercial tools have a free trial period so that you can see if they're right for you. Now, let's see how the automated tools work. The automated tool sends a request prepared for a purpose. The application returns a reply for the request, and then the tool analyzes the response to see if there's a weakness. They can send tens of requests in seconds. The first step to understand how the web applications work is to know client-server architecture. Systems that want to get services are called clients, and the systems to serve the clients and to host the application are called servers. Clients, in most cases, are web browsers. In some cases, you can see client-side applications other than browsers communicating with the servers using web protocols. These applications are called thick clients. Now, even though there is a thick client on the client side, it's still a web application, and you will be able to hack it at the end of this course. Usually, there is a database server at the back end. In this slide, you see some of the technologies and standards used in each layer. You don't need to know everything about the technology in detail, but it's better to know which are used in the application, so we're able to focus on the technology used. For example, if we try to exploit a SQL injection flaw and know what the database management system is, suppose that it's Oracle, then we just use the keywords and methods of Oracle. Make sense? Hypertext Markup Language, HTML, is the standard markup language for creating web pages and web applications. The building blocks of HTML pages are HTML elements. HTML elements are delineated by tags written using angle brackets. Browsers do not display the HTML tags, but use them to interpret the content of the page. Here you'll see some of the HTML elements important for us. And you can see here how to reach resources, input fields, and tags to use scripts. This is a simple HTML page example. If you look at the source of this page, you will see the page source contains the tags shown in the second frame. H1 is for header, bigger and bolder. P is for the paragraph. UL is to start a bulleted list. LI is for the list items. URL, Uniform Resource Locator, is a reference to a web resource that specifies its location on a computer network and a mechanism for retrieving it. The components of a typical URL are: scheme is the protocol used by the application. Schemes occur most commonly to reference web pages, but are also used for transferring files, emailing, and many other applications. Host consists of either a registered name, host name, or an IP address. A typical host name consists of subdomain, domain, and top-level domain name. Port is separated from the host name by a colon. This is the port number where the application is served. If it's not given, the default port numbers are used. The default port numbers are 80 for HTTP, 443 for HTTPS, and 21 for FTP. Path is usually organized in hierarchical form that appears as a sequence of segments separated by slashes. Query is separated from the preceding part by a question mark, and contains a query string. A query is most often a sequence of attribute value pairs separated by a delimiter, and the delimiter might be an ampersand or semicolon. Parameters which will probably determine the response are sent to the server in this section. Fragment is separated from the preceding part by hash. The fragment contains a fragment identifier providing direction to a secondary resource, such as a section heading in an article identified by the remainder of the URI.